Hi, I'm Lee Jones from the iStudio Lab at Queen's University, and I'm presenting this work on behalf of my co-authors at Queen's University and Ingenium, Canada's Museums of Science and Innovation. Our paper is on libraries of things, understanding the challenges of sharing tangible collections and the opportunities for HCI. In this paper, we introduce the concept of libraries of things to HCI researchers. Overall, libraries of things are borrowable collections of tangible objects. These collections enable individuals to access items other than books from a library. I'll give you a few examples of the types of things one might see in a thing library. Things like crafting tools that individuals can borrow to craft items from home. For example, a sewing machine or button maker. Power tools or tools for home improvement. Gear items, for example, for going camping or for participating in outdoor activities. Activity kits such as board games, science kits, and even Arduinos. Musical instruments like guitars or drums. I just talked about a wide variety of collections, and due to this variety, libraries of things can be difficult to define. In a recent book on these collections, they are defined in a purposefully broad way as any collection of physical objects that serve a utilitarian purpose as tools, equipment, or goods that circulate beyond the walls of the library, that provide a cost savings benefit to patrons by supporting something for which they have an existing need, that have an inherent appeal to patrons, and that defy standard processes of acquiring, cataloging, and circulation. This definition highlights both the opportunity and the challenge of libraries of things, as well as the gap where HCI and technology can work to support these efforts. Libraries of things provide access, help to reduce material consumerism, and help to reduce the cost of using an item. In doing so, they provide pro-social benefits to their communities and the environment. At the same time, because things are different than books in shape, materials, and use, they're often difficult to manage and require new processes and technologies for acquiring, cataloging, and circulation. Currently, book libraries are places with a huge amount of technology, for example, book slots, self-serve checkouts, and automatic sorting. But most of these technologies rely on the uniform nature of books. Books are often rectangular and of about the same size, meaning they can be stored in a uniform way. Items on hold can be stored together, and for returns, one book slot will support the variety of books that will come through. Books have similar surfaces, so one type of label will work for all, such as placing barcodes on books in a library. Books have similar metadata categories, which makes it easier to know where to place a book in a library, such as the Dewey Decimal System, as well as what is important information for libraries to capture about each book. In contrast, things are all shapes, a variety of materials, and each category of items has different types of information that is relevant to it. For example, materials might be important for nylon string guitars, but not relevant for something like a board game. Overall, thing collections are more varied than books, and so for this project we want to understand how HCI can support these types of organizations so that libraries of things can scale. Libraries of things support both sustainability and accessibility through the promotion of sharing items, and we see HCI's role as supporting these pro-social institutions and sharing behaviors. To discover the challenges these collections face, we interviewed 23 individuals who run Library of Things collections. We included a variety of collections such as tool libraries, gear libraries, and musical instrument libraries, as well as locations with a variety of collections that call themselves Libraries of Things. We interviewed individuals who run collections in the private sector, as well as pilot projects run within public libraries. The collections were diverse, including one collection run out of a mobile van, and ones that focus on making, and especially the tool libraries that often had workshops. Here I'll summarize our findings and the gaps by going over the Library of Things life cycle and discussing areas that require added cognitive or manual workload for librarians and are therefore opportunities for technology and automation. There are also steps that help us to understand the context of these collections and the unique constraints that they deal with. Many of the thing collections we interviewed built their collections through donations from the community. It's important for us as HCI researchers to understand that many items are donated, and so solutions have to be variable to the wide range of materials and conditions that items might come in. Cataloging things is different than cataloging books. For each type of collection, different information is valuable for users. There's also more work for libraries to create summaries of items. Each new collection added to a library requires new procedures and training. For example, a subsection of our participants were piloting musical instrument collections in public libraries. To have just that one added collection required a huge amount of effort due to the ways that instruments are different than books. This includes new processes for cataloging, for checkout and check-in, for repair, and for storage. Our participants described the challenge of changing behaviors from buying to borrowing, even if it's in an individual's best interest. A big challenge here is making it more convenient for individuals to find items they want to borrow. If the process is inconvenient, even people who want to borrow will end up buying the item because they just want to get a task done. The question for HCI researchers is, how can we centralize the borrowing process? For example, instead of individuals having a bunch of memberships to different libraries for a single task, is there a way that they can just go to one location, such as a public library or a platform of platforms? Retrieving non-uniform tangible objects in a collection is difficult and an ongoing challenge. This is compounded by the variety of categories of items within each library of things, and the different ways that they organize their item categories, such as by size or use within their space. For example, here are items for ear protection stored on the ceiling of one tool library. Here are more tools stored anywhere they will fit on the pegboard. Here are tools sorted by task, with smaller items in plastic containers and larger items on shelves or on the floor. To deal with this, some libraries have come up with cognitively heavy maps that help them find and retrieve items in the collection. Overall, whereas books have systems like the Dewey Decimal System, each library of things will have their own way of organizing things to suit their space and the type of collection that they have. How can we make it easier for librarians to search for items within their physical space? Compared to books, library of things collections have added ID checks. For example, each time someone takes a guitar out from the library, they have to go to the front desk and provide their ID. In comparison, books can often be checked out with self-checkouts. Both pickup and return of library of things items is currently inconvenient. For example, pickup and drop-off have to occur within the library's hours. No self-checkout, no after-hours drop-offs. The main reason for this is that both pickup and return require the library staff to go through the item and check that everything is there. For example, imagine a board game with 30 different pieces. The staff are also looking at the condition of the item and need to make sure that it still works. Once an item has been checked out, it then gets used at home. Libraries of things often aim to help novices try something new. As a result, most people who bring an item home will be using it for the first time. When an item is returned, it then gets checked for whether it needs maintenance. Fixing is a huge task for library of things collections, who have technicians, tool doctors, or fixers to help repair the collection. This task would exponentially grow with each new collection. Once a new collection is launched, Library of Things use data to iterate on their collection. Based on this, they can offload items by either moving them downstream, donating them to other collections, or selling them to continue to support the library. In our paper, we then go through the next steps for HCI and where technology can help libraries with cognitively heavy or manual tasks. Our next steps include: 1. How can we design and provide interactive tutorials for individuals on using tangible objects and the embodied activities involved in doing so from home? 2. How can we facilitate interaction with Library of Things through a self-pickup and return process at the user's own convenience? How can we create interactive systems that automatically capture or recognize the need for repair and/or maintenance? 4. How can we create cataloging and labeling systems that enable automated recognition of the tangible parts of borrowable things? 5. How can we support the navigation, retrieval, and organization of non-uniform items? 6. How can we support the social awareness of Library of Things and make interactive search and discovery more convenient? To sum up, this paper has 2 main contributions. The first one is introducing HCI researchers to libraries of things. Our findings provide a summary of the aims and goals of libraries of things and the challenges and barriers they face that prevent them from scaling. Our second contribution is providing opportunities and next steps for HCI. We provide an overview of the HCI-specific questions and research directions to support sustainable sharing practices and libraries of things technology infrastructures. Our goal in doing so is to ensure that these practices can be more broadly adopted. Overall, this paper aims to look at how technology can support libraries of things, but also how we can design items for sharing.